Hola, mis estudiantes. Este es Mr. Señor. I'm going to go through and show you guys the notes for direct object pronouns, try to explain what they are. I need to find this document first of all. Here? Yes. Okay. We're going to open this up with Cami. This will be shared with you so you guys can take the notes as well. You also want to file this in your Google Drive as I showed you in class, in your notes section on the Google Drive for Spanish class. All right. So direct object pronouns, do not be confused by fancy grammar terms. Anytime I use a fancy grammar term, I'm going to explain it. It's really easy to get confused by something like direct object pronouns as a word because we don't use them in general speech, right? We don't talk about direct object pronouns every day with our friends at the lunch table. We don't have lunch tables anymore. Whatever. It's not, but direct object pronouns are not too bad. Let's look at some examples so I can kind of try to explain what they are. So if I read this sentence, mi hermano ve un perro y lo quiere. Es adorable. If I were to translate that word for word, and I'm going to lower my font size just a smidgen. My brother sees a dog and he wants it. It is when we read this sentence, this first part here, the direct object pronoun is who the action is done to. So if we look here, what does he see? He sees a dog and he wants it. And that word it is a direct object pronoun. Why? Because it is what the action wants is done to it. And it refers back to what? What is it referring to? The dog. It's not anything. The word it has to refer back to something. And that word, and if you remember this term, I sometimes use this term. I'm going to teach you what it means. An antecedent. Basically, antecedent is the word that something refers back, that the word it, him, her, there's many direct object pronouns. The word that, this bird needs to be quiet. The word that antecedent refers back. Never mind, whatever, we'll just keep moving on. Show you some more examples. Yo envío textos a mis amigos durante la clase, pero el profesor me ve. If I were to translate this, it would be I send text messages to my friends during class. Naughty, naughty. But the teacher. Let's lower the font just a smidgen so that this fits on one line. There we go. So I'd send text messages to my friends during class, but the teacher sees me. That word me is the direct object pronoun. And who does me refer back to? Well, whatever my name is. So it would be, if I was me, it would be Mr. Senor. But we don't want to say my name here. So we use the word me. That is a direct object pronoun. Me is me. When we go back, I'll show you this later, but lo and la, when they come before a conjugated verb, means it. And lastly, this says, una chica tiene una foto de Justin Timberlake y la mira mucho. So if I were to put this back into black for us, a girl has a photo of JT. I'm going to put JT for Justin Timberlake and looks at it a lot. And if we look at the sentence above, what word is going to mean it? So the end of the sentence, and she looks a lot. The word la is referring to it. And notice it comes before a conjugated verb. That's how we know it means it and not the. So I will highlight this. Each of those sentences contains a direct object pronoun, but even if without knowing that it was a direct object pronoun, you may have been able to understand it. The most important thing is that you can read. Later on in the year, and in Spanish 3, I usually make you guys use them in sentences. But if you can this year, that's great. A pronoun is a word that replaces a noun in a sentence. That's a person, place, or thing. It replaces something. A direct object pronoun, this word needs to be quiet. A direct object pronoun is a word that replaces a noun that is directly, I don't know why this directly involved in an action. It is the receiver of the action. For example, she doesn't just look at anything, she looks at it. That is who the action is done to, it. Here's some examples in English. So we have, I read the book. If we don't want to say book, we say it. I read it. And what does it refer back to? What is the antecedent? Or what word does it refer back to? The book. We write the letters. We write them. What does them refer back to? The letters. I eat the hamburger. I eat it. What does it refer back to? The hamburger. He loves Mariah Carey. He loves her. Who is her referring to? The antecedent, or the word that her is referring back to, is Mariah Carey. Generally, you should always be able to go back into the sentence or back into the paragraph and see clearly who the words me, you, him, her, us, and them, it refer back to. If you can't do that, it's unclear. Here are the Spanish direct object pronouns. If you want to say me, it is the word me. You may want to repeat after me. Me. Not tu, but que. Him, her, and it. Him, her is le. Sometimes you'll see it as lo and la, but generally le is people. Lo and la is generally used for it. If the word that it refers back to is masculine, you will use lo. If it is feminine, you will use la. If you want to say us in Spanish, we would say nos. Let's make it lowercase. I don't require this one, but for y'all is vos. And then lastly, them. If it's them people, I like to use les. And then if it's objects, los. If it's a masculine object, las. If it's feminine. Sometimes, though, in Latin America, they will use lo and la and los and las for people as well, but I like to distinguish using les, which is technically, it's grammatically correct. So let's translate these. These do contain the words for it, them, and this one actually has us in it. So we're going to translate these. This one says, my mom makes hamburgers. And I eat what? What would las mean here? I eat it or them. You said them, you are correct because hamburgers is plural. I eat them. La chica ve un iPhone y lo quiere. The girl sees an iPhone and wants. Is it or them? Lo quiere. Well, lo refers back to what? iPhone. We know that iPhone is singular. So, it wants it. Because if not, then it would be very awkward to say the girl sees the iPhone and she wants the iPhone, right? We can replace the words iPhone with it in this case to make it sound less redundant and silly. El autobús nos lleva a la escuela. This means the bus takes us. Lleva is like to wear, carry. In this case, it's take because the bus is doing something for us, and that's the only logical thing it can do. Takes who? Nos. Us. School. Nos comes in front of the conjugated verb. Us comes after the verb in English. I'm going to upload this. I'm going to try to share this notes file with you so that you don't have to follow along. In fact, so there's that. If you have any questions, email me at gmakoski@nrwcs.org.